What up, dudes? It's Gaz, and welcome back to the Warframe video. So today we're covering the newest changes to some Warframes. We got a new Warframe Dante, and we also got a rework for Inaros, both coming in March for this game. So we'll be covering that today. I did a real deep dive after the stream yesterday, like investigating exactly what DE was saying on stream. So I think I have a very good idea of exactly what these frames will be doing for every single ability, including the passive. So let's get right into it. But before we do, make sure you sub this channel. We do daily Warframe video uploads. There'll be a weekly reset stream tomorrow and a new Saren video on Monday. So lots of good stuff coming out very soon. And of course, I will be covering the new Dante Unbound update in March, which we don't really have a release date for, but it's in March at some point. That's all we really know. So let's get right into it. I'll be covering the new frame Dante and the reworked Inaros. I will be doing a deep dive on their abilities and some pre-release strategies, because that's what I like to do on this channel sometimes. So let's start off right away with Dante. This character definitely sounded like Invoker from Dota to a lot of people, but he's definitely not sounding as complicated as a character that has like 16 abilities. This guy has basically like 3 abilities at the end of the day. So let's get right into it. Now I will be going over DE's stream gameplay here, so I will be skipping around. I took a bunch of notes, so just because the thing on the screen is not as relevant to what I'm talking about, it's because DE's gameplay is kind of all over the place. So that's why I'm making my own review here. So let's get into it right now. So there is going to be a new disruption node on the new tile set, the Cavia, like the Sanctum Atomica, and that's where Dante's parts are going to drop. Let's start with the first ability of Dante. It's his Exalted Tome. He has a special book attack, and the stats of it seemed like they were very focused on slash. Additionally, the alt fire mode of this Exalted Tome has infinite punch through, as stated in the description of the ability. So, it'll be primarily slash with decent crit. It's going to have an alt fire that will be different than the Grimoire. Will have an infinite punch through attack. So that sounds already good. Sounds like it's very good for ad clear, and since it's like a slash focused, it's going to be pretty good for, Armored Grenier and things like that. Probably not as good for Corpus, but, you can mod this thing, so you putting on a Toxin build will make that quite easy. So he's going to likely be very good for ad clear. Now let's go over his first actual ability, not the Exalted Tome. So first ability is Exalted Tome. It's just a tome weapon, pretty good. His second ability is called Light Verse. What this one will do is upon casting the ability Light Verse, you'll see here on his little UI on the side, there's some pages that get filled in as you cast that ability. So, second ability, Light Verse, fills one light page into the UI thing he's got. So, right there, I don't know if that's light or dark. There's a dark verse as well for his third ability. But basically, when you cast Light Verse, just casting it normally, you will get some overguard. With the build that Megan had in the footage, with 130% power strength, it was 650 overguard from one cast. Now, she didn't have any teammates with her, so just see right there. She's at 0 overguard. She casts Light Verse and goes to 650 overguard. Not sure if that's going to really be affecting her teammates, but once you combine these pages together, Light Verse will make a AoE overguard for everybody. And there was like a multiple thousand overguard for that one. So, the first non-Exalted Tome ability gives you overguard, you cast it, and fills one of your pages of the 2 pages you need for your combined ulti. The third ability is called Dark Verse, and what this one will do... Well, actually, let's first go over what the extent of Light Verse is. So, as I stated before, Light Verse, casting it with no ultimate, is going to make it where you get 650 overguard with 130% strength. But if you cast it again, just get some more overguard. Now you have 2 light pages filled in, so 1300 overguard from 2 casts. Now your ultimate is ready. The fourth ability will combine the pages you have on your UI to a certain spell. Combination of dark and light verses do different things. Double light will be a big overguard for everybody. So basically, everyone's going to get big overguard if you're using this guy. Cast your 2 twice, and then cast your 4. Big overguard. I think it was multiple thousand right here when she cast it. So yeah, 7,500 overguard from the Triumph ability, which is the double light ultimate of Dante. So let's go over some of the other abilities of Dante besides just the overguard stuff. So he'll be an overguard buffer in some ways. Now let's go over the darkness ability. His darkness ability, the dark verse, is called Dark Verse, and it makes slash procs in an area. Now that will fill one of your pages. What did the combined ultimates of the dark verse do when the light verse is giving you a ton of overguard? Well, the Dark Verse it's more damage focused than the Light Verse, so let's talk about some of those. The combined Double Darkness will be a dot explosion. It sounds like kind of like Expedite Suffering, if you know what that is. enemies with slash procs on them will be instantly detonated. So what would a light and a dark verse do? Well, it's going to make it where your boy Dante has a second little minion grimoire. You can see it right now on the screen. I think it's dark and light will make this little minion spell book that will target enemies for you. And I believe that's with light and dark. If you do dark and light, so he has four different spells. The dark and light one is going to make it where these little birds follow you around and will attack enemies. So the general gist of this guy is he's a very ability-heavy frame. You're pushing abilities constantly with him. There's a little birds right there. The birds are going to fly around and just, I think they have like 3 birds at a time. So you have overguard support, you have slash damage, and you have little minions, kind of. And that's what Dante's going to do. His passive will be he automatically scans enemies for the codex. When an enemy is fully scanned in the codex, that enemy will... Dante deals more damage to fully scanned enemies, which sounds better than a lot of the terrible passives in this game. So, overall, Dante sounds like a fun frame. He might be good, like he might be really good with these overguard buffing abilities, because overguard is a powerful mechanic. But the whole slash damage aspect of this, I'm not sure if that will be good against some enemies. Like, he sounds like he might not be very good against Corpus unless you, like... Because, I mean, slash itself is not really good against Corpus because their shields regenerate through it, and slash does not bypass the shields either. So, and also, they're fighting the Murmur right now. The Murmur are resistant to slash procs. I'm just thinking, if most of his damage is slash only... why am I going to be using him for most situations? And I can't really think of a good reason. Why would I run this over Garuda, is my personal thought. And it's probably because he's just new and he looks cool, basically. So, one little thing too, his tome, his Exalted Tome, can equip all the tome mods at the same time. So, yeah, you can have a bunch of extra power strength, a bunch of extra duration, and a bunch of extra energy regen too. If you just put every tome mod on there with your Exalted Infinite Punch Through attack, that should be, like, you won't even have to mod for that much strength of him or duration, because you'll have those buffs up, hopefully, all the time. So, he looks cool, I don't really see what the point of them is, besides just a new frame that looks cool. So, I'll be definitely trying him out on day 1. I think he'll be fun, for sure. If you like to push a bunch of buttons and blow stuff up, he seems like he could do that. And also, if you like tanky frames, he seems like he might be pretty tanky with that overguard, so... Yeah, just pushing the ability button once gives you 650 overguard, no nearby enemies. And, his ulti was given, 7,500 overguard? That's a decent chunk for 3 ability casts, I guess, so. That's enough of Dante. We'll know more about him when he comes out, obviously. Let's move on to Inaros' Rework, and how I'm liking that, how that's looking. So, yeah, Dante looking good, but Inaros, this is the guy that doesn't really have abilities right now. So let's just go ahead and establish what Inaros' abilities do right now. So, keep in mind, I do have one of the really terrible abilities, Helmet Off, because it's really not worth keeping around. But let's going over what they do. So first ability, a Conal Blind that can set enemies up for finishers. His second ability is usually called Devour, where it's a single target stun and it locks you in place as you slowly heal. The third ability is called Sandstorm. This is live build, obviously, right now. It picks enemies up and throws them all around the place. So as you can see, the enemies are all over. Like, where'd they even go? And the fourth ability, his ulti, he drains his health to get increased armor. Once you have at least 25% of this charged up, you can target an enemy. It will release... if you look really close to their robot scarabs, very, very close to the robot scarabs, but those robot scarabs will stun enemies, and they do about 2 damage right now. So, these are some things that are getting buffed with Inaros. These sand scarabs are going to become your new friend, and also there's these things called sand cats we're going to be learning about very soon. It'll become your new best friend as Inaros, because Inaros is like the cat king, apparently. My old video about saying Inaros is the king of the Smitas was true. It was not me being crazy for once. So let's go ahead and talk about Inaros' rework here. And I'm going to skim over this because there are certain things that didn't really get changed, and even Pablo said that himself. So, for example, the first ability of Inaros did not really get changed. We won't be really going over that. Now, first thing of Inaros that did get changed and will be happening in March here is his passive. So basically, it's really hard to die as Inaros in a normal path, so Pablo is showing that here. But once Inaros dies with the new rework, you will notice that the screen has a little icon on it in the middle, the very, very middle. So as he punches enemies, this meter right here will fill up. So he's about quarter of the way through his meter. This is Inaros' new passive. Once you die, you have to punch enemies or hit enemies, and once you hit enough enemies, you will come back from the dead. His coffin is basically just gone. The coffin's gone. And this is his new passive of coming back from the dead. So once you die and come back, it will increase the amounts of hits you need to come back from the dead again. But if you use I'm probably going to use a really, really fast melee weapon on Inaros. That will be not too bad. So he's going to need that. Now, he's not getting any overguard at all. None of his stuff is going to involve overguard, even though I thought they would maybe add that. But yeah, so he will probably not really be level 10,000 viable. We'll talk about that in a little bit here. So first ability of Inaros, the Conal Pocket Sand is still exactly the same. The only thing that's really changing is they're adding finishers for more enemies. So for example, some of these enemies on the Kavia that don't have finishers currently in game, they're adding finishers to these enemies in March. So Inaros will be able to do finishers on more enemies. This ability is not getting buffed at all, though. Moving on to the ability that's actually getting buffed, we have the Sandstorm replacement. So I told you that Devour was an ability I always Helminth off because it's so terrible. The thing is, you can't Helminth off 2 abilities in this game. You can only choose 1. So I either had to choose to take off Sandstorm or take off Devour. I usually took off Devour. So what they're doing, they're combining Devour and Sandstorm into the same ability. So what they're basically doing is that Sandstorm is going to be healing you for every enemy hit, just like Devour was doing, healing you over time. Additionally, it will no longer throw enemies around the room like I just showed you right there. It will pull enemies into one easy-to-kill spot, like right there. So you cast Sandstorm. It no longer is a drain over time either. It's a duration-based ability. The enemy's pulled down right there, easy ground finisher. So the passive Inaros also gives him health from doing finishers. So this is a much, much better ability than before. And Devour is just removed because Devour was bad. Moving on to the next ability. We've got, actually his old ulti. His old Scarab armor has been split in 2. So they combined the 2 and the 3, but now they're splitting the 4 into 2 separate abilities. So what it's going to do for the third ability is you're going to drain some of your health, just like right now. But instead, that armor you use will be giving you status immunity, just like his current Negation Swarm augment. Negation Swarm is being changed to a new effect where it will give you death prevention every so often, and it will give you a massive slash proc depending on how much damage you took, or rather, after you come back from the dead. So status immunity on Inaros will be a pretty good thing to just basically never die from his own slash procs from the augment. But yeah, if you don't have Negation Swarm, or whatever they're going to rename it to, and you want to play Inaros, I think you should get Negation Swarm right now. Negation Swarm will probably be a new must-run augment on Inaros as his built-in status immunity. He'll have built-in status immunity now. So you can see right here, Pablo got 250 armor. You lose some of the armor to prevent the status effect on Inaros. And it gives you a brief period of status immunity, just like Mesmer Skin. It's like status Mesmer Skin, basically. So very good there. And yeah, the ability itself just gives you more armor. So let's move on to the biggest change for Inaros, and that's going to be the Sand Cats. The Sand Scarab Swarm is now going to actually be really cool. And Inaros might actually get some built-in armor strip here with these corrosive procs. So I know I have Pablo muted here, but he's just basically explaining why the armor thing is good now. So the changes to Inaros' ulti are going to be quite nice. So right now, the ability does do a little bit of corrosive at the very end of it, but now every tick of damage will be corrosive. That means, well, let's talk about the cats here in a second. So the fact that Inaros' ulti will do corrosive every tick means Inaros can fully remove enemy armor. Oh, not fully. He can fully corrosive proc enemies, and if he has green shards, he could fully remove enemy armor with his ulti now. As you can see in the footage, there's a do with 3 procs. I'm only level 56, but and also the damage of this will scale with Inaros' maximum health. Yes, if you mod for more HP in Inaros, you'll get more damage on his ulti. Additionally, any enemy affected by your Scarab Swarm, when they die, will create a Sand Cat minion. This Sand Cat minion will spread the sand scarabs to nearby enemies. So that's a corrosive cat right there. That corrosive cat will spread the scarabs. It will also, if that enemy dies while affected by the scarabs, it will create another cat. I have no idea how many cats you could actually have as Inaros. This is a new thing for him. He does not have this right now. Now he can make sand soldiers right now from doing finishers on enemies. I think it's Desiccation's Curse or something like that. But yeah, I'm thinking that maybe Desiccation's Curse might create sand cats too. So I'm thinking this is pretty good. Now you might be like, okay, well that's great and all. We're getting extra cats to summon, but how does this actually make him level 10,000 viable? And I'll be honest with you, I am not really seeing him being level 10,000 viable any more than he is right now from these changes. Now, okay, maybe slightly his pass is a little bit better for level 10,000. You're not actually losing all of you're not instantly like just going down because you're in a coffin and you can't get any revives. Now you can just punch stuff to come back from the dead. But straight up, he's not going to be level 10,000 viable. An enemy that does enough damage per bullet will kill him in one shot. And if you want to do it level 10,000 with him, you have to run basically Vazarin. You have to have a teammate who's a Revenant player that's giving you Mesmerish constantly. He is just not meant for level 10,000s, guys. And it seems like Pablo agreed, like, just leave him as is. Make him still, like, he's still really, really tanky at normal levels, like we're right here. I mean, there's a guy, they're level 200 Steel Path. So, like, for stuff like this, he's totally fine, survivability-wise. But the problem with Inaros is that his abilities were worse than pushing no button at all. If I push the button for Sandstorm, I made a massive mistake. All my energy's gone, my guns are gone, these enemies are all over the room. This is doing literally nothing. That's what Inaros needed. He needed his abilities to be worth casting. Additionally, while you're in the Sandstorm, you will be invincible with these new changes. So that's the big thing here. Who even bothered casting Scarab Storm before? Like, what is this even doing? 2 damage? They're thrashing around. I don't even know what's happening right now. And this ability is getting a massive, massive buff. So after the patch, these guys will pretty much have no armor left. Instead of just being thrashing around. Like, that did literally nothing. That did literally nothing. And it will do something after this patch, so I'm very happy about that. Additionally, Inaros is going to be being able to do some decent damage, hopefully with that ulti, since he mods for so much health usually. The more maximum health you have, the more damage that will deal, apparently. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to this. Make sure you get at least Negation Swarm. I think Desiccation's Curse might have some potential as well, because they'll likely be changing that. But yeah, Negation Swarm, this one, this is being built into his new 3. Lose some of your Scarab Storm armor to prevent status effects. Very nice. And Desiccation's Curse, the other one right here. Finishing a blind enemy has a chance of summoning a Sand Shadow. All Sand Shadows deal 2x damage. If this works on the Sand Cats, that could be kind of cool. But yeah, besides that, I don't really think he'll be doing too much different. Depending how effective the Sand Cats and the Negations and the Scarab Swarm are, this might be actually good for some low-level killing. But if not, whatever. So like, you see that damage per second right there? That's going to be corrosive every single tick. So that's great. But that's basically all I have for the video today, guys. Hopefully you found it fun and helpful. I think Dante and Inaros looking good. I don't think that Inaros will be really amazing for level 10,000s. I think Dante will be a good all-aroundish, like maybe not all-arounder, but he's got, he's got some light support with Overguard to his teammates. He's got some good amount of damage with his slash attacks, and he's got an infinite punch through Exalted. So that might be very interesting, depending how much AoE coverage you end up having. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Hopefully you found this one enjoyable. I will also be live tomorrow with the weekly reset, of course, too. So you guys take it easy, and I'll see you next time. Peace.